again. It's Maria Rothenberger from the Miracles Happen Fertility Center at drmariarothenberger.com. This is week 37 of the Compassion series of 2020 using this book, A Year of Living with More Compassion. We are on quote 37, obviously, because this is week 37, the 10th month of the Compassion series. I hope if you have been following this series for a while that you're beginning to take on some more loving thoughts towards yourself and other people. This week is a quote by His Holiness the Dalai Lama, chosen by Marsha Linehan, who is a very big name in the therapeutic world, psychotherapeutic world. Dialectical behavioral therapy is her thing. Here's the quote. "It is not enough to be compassionate. You must act." And what Marsha writes about here, Dr. Linehan, she says, wanting to help another is not sufficient. Finding ways to do it, learning what we need to know to relieve the suffering of others, developing the skills to be effective, these are what matter at the end of the day. Now, there is I take a little bit of a different twist on this. I will finish what Marsha is saying here, and then I will offer my own insights. So she says at one point she admonished a client, or admonished a therapist for being with somebody in their pain, almost to the point of feeling the pain herself. She says, listen to this following story, she's told the therapist. Imagine a person is standing in hell, standing on coals on fire, jumping up and down screaming, "Help, help, bring me some water and pour it on my feet. I can't stand this, I'm burning up." Then I asked her who she thought was most compassionate. The person who runs to get a pitcher of water and climbs down into hell to pour the water on the poor soul's feet, or the person who rushes down to hell, gets behind the poor soul and pushes, saying, "Let's get out of here." Now, of course, Marsha's view as the one with more compassion is the one that pushes the person out of hell. Okay, here's my take on this. In that scenario, I feel like both people are quite compassionate. I don't feel like pushing somebody to alleviate pain, to alleviate their suffering, is in any way empowering to them. I feel like, especially as a therapist, that we need to create safety first to alleviate the crises. So yes, pour the water on the poor soul's feet, and then offer a way out. Hey, do you want to get out of here? Here's a way. And then the person has to choose. The person has to choose. I'm not going to push anybody out of hell. They need to choose it. So it is true, though, that just having compassion is not enough. Being able to act on it is a far bigger show of compassion for other people. So, for example, we live in a town where there are a lot of homeless people, and it's one thing to have compassion for them, and yet another to take our kids' uneaten school lunches and take them to the homeless. So that is having compassion and creating action around it. So the compassion practice for this week, though, is really cultivating an awareness around your own pain when you're having compassion for somebody else. So Marsha says the compassion practices that go with this story are twofold. First, when listening to others' pain, it's important to be mindful of not only the other person's suffering, but also of our own. Mindfulness of current emotions and sensations is important because through it we learn that indeed we can tolerate both our suffering and other people's suffering. The second part of the compassion practice for this week is to practice wise mind. Remind yourself that each of us has the capacity for universal wisdom. Though it may be difficult to reach, it is possible. Breathe in deeply, let your mind drop to your center, Listen to the silence within. Listen in the depth of the emptiness that is itself wisdom. This seems a little bit esoteric. Let's get practical with this, okay? When you are hearing, really listening to somebody else's pain, when you offer that equivalent of pouring cold water on their burning feet in this story, that is when you are listening to their pain and noticing your own. You're noticing your own pain from this. The action part, which for me would be the invitation to get the hell out of there, to get the hell out of hell, is the wise mind approach. So wise mind is this realization that we have emotion mind over here, who's constantly feeling and feeling. It's very deep and sometimes kind of intense. And then there's logical mind. Well, 1 + 1 always equals 2. Well, why don't you just get out of hell? It's not a big deal. Well, both of these things need to exist at the same time for wisdom. When you practice wise mind, you are able then to offer this practical, hey, let's move, let's create this movement so that you can suffer less, while cultivating and being aware of this sense of emotion, this very intense emotion. So you're coming from this very wise place. So that's the practical application. When somebody is suffering, you suffer with them, you feel your own suffering, and then you come from a place of wise mind to offer a way out. That is the practical way of handling this compassion practice for this week. Okay, so for this week, I want you to find somebody who is suffering, listen to their suffering, notice your own suffering as a part of that, and then get practical. What are some ways that you can offer them that are practical and still hold this emotion in your awareness as well, so that you come from a place of wisdom, wise mind. All right, go to it this week. And if you have any questions or need some clarification, comment below. Leave me the question. I will answer. Bye. See you next week.